Hi all, my name's Hannah and I'm the C5 nut, I'm afraid. Right, I've just happened to check out my last video that I put up, which is turning the Apple PC into a cat bed. And halfway through, I'm like, no! Oh my days, what on earth did I do? Um, Well, basically, towards the end, I'm awfully sorry, but my back end was kind of showing quite a lot. There's a story behind that, and that is I've lost all feeling, skin wise, all feeling in that area at all. I can't feel it. So even if someone's like that, I can't feel it. Cold, can't feel it at all. So sometimes I just have to remind myself, oh, where's my trousers? Is it halfway down my legs? Whatnot, but obviously trying to do the videos and keep concentrating on what you're going to say next as well as what you're going to do, at the same time. Yeah, my trousers happen to come right down the bottom of the pile of things to worry about. But so if you've seen that, I'm awfully sorry. uh, but anyway, I wanted to share with you a little bit regards to my green C5. My green C5 I've had since 2009, so 11 years. It's my pride and joy. I love that car, and the reason why I'm gonna sort of share with you. So, where do you start? Well, I guess we start back in 2009. Um, I had a little Fiat Sicento as my very first car, and I had it for about 4.5 years, which I've done quite a lot in it. And it was about time I got a new car. There's nothing wrong with the Fiat, it's just about time I got a bigger car. And roughly about the time when I was looking into getting a new car, one of my great friends, he's called Mick, bought this green C5 January 2009 from an auction, and he bought it in Bristol, and at the time I was living in Plymouth, so yeah, he literally drove it back, got as far as Weston-super-Mare, which some of you may know. It's junction 21 on the M5 as you head down towards Plymouth, and it burst its coolant pipe. But Mick, being Mick, carried on driving, even though load of warning lights, you name it, everything came up. He still carried on driving. He carried on driving until the engine went bang and put the con rod straight through the block, which, if you're technical minded, you know that is game over for that engine. There's no way that engine's ever going to be running again if it put a con rod straight through the block. It made a nice hole like that size. So yeah. So the at the time I was working for a motorhome place in Plymouth. We used to do a lot of repairs to caravans and motorhomes. We used to do storage and used to do a lot of rentals as well. We used to hire motorhomes out. Fortunately, the company doesn't do that anymore. The company still exists, but not doing motorhomes or caravans. They're mainly in the car industry, and that's one of the reasons why I left. But, right, so Mick knows my boss quite well. So my boss ended up going up there with the car transporter to rescue him, to bring him back. And that's when I first saw the car. So I put a replacement engine in. It had new everything. New timing belt, new water pump, new turbo. You name it, it had it all, including a clutch, new clutch. And the bill came up to nearly £3,000. But the car still had a bit of an electrical issue with the central lock-in, and yeah, basically, we had the car for nearly a month, and did all the work. And Mick then got the car back on the first week of March, and he only had it for literally a week. Literally a week. So we're talking about halfway through March, and he messaged me and said, "Oh, I'm selling the car." I'm like, "Why? Why are you selling this car? You've only just spent so much money on it. Why are you selling the car?" And he just said he needed the money urgently. He needs to get rid of it quick. So obviously, I decided to take the car for a quick spin. And this is when my biological father was in my life at that time. It wasn't called my biological father then, but yeah, he hasn't been in my life at all lately, so doesn't have that title. So yeah, so my biological father lent me the money to go and buy the car off my friend Mick. And when I was taking Mick back home, he was telling me that, in all fairness, the reason why he needed the money was he had prostate cancer and he wanted to go private. So I was totally speechless. What can you do when someone tells you that situation? So yeah, I bought the car, and it's this next stage is a bit hard for me to sort of take on board. Even now, oh my days, I do my best not to cry. But 2 weeks after I bought the car, Mick sadly died. The cancer was just far too great, and sadly, he wasn't able to go private for his operation. So I won't tell you how much I paid for the car, but I paid a lot more than what he wanted to sell it for. And the number plate that's currently on the car, which is Mike 700 Mike Golf Whiskey, was actually his private number plate. So I was lucky enough to hang on to that number plate. So even though he's not with us now, a piece of him still lives on, and it lives on in that C5. So yeah, so that car's been all over. I bought the car when it had 150,000 miles on it. The car's probably got less than 50 miles until it reached 200,000. So it hasn't done a lot of miles since I've had it. But it was 2012 was my wedding car. Yep, I got married. Yeah, don't know, I sort of regret it afterwards, but yeah, 2012 I got married, and that was my wedding car. And about the following year, the car started to have a couple of issues. There was a fault code that kept coming up, and no matter how many times I tried to delete the code, it would not go. I ended up changing, had the ECU tested out on it about 3 or 4 times. New turbo, new sensors, new intercooler. I've had a lot of new parts, and the car just wasn't having any of it. And then I thought, well, there's nothing else I can really change other than change the engine. So I ended up taking the engine out, buying another engine, putting that in the green car, only for putting it all back together, come to try it. Oh fuck. Same code keep coming back on again. By that time, I was in the process of moving house. So I had to leave the car behind at a friend's house, and I moved up to Maidenhead. And yeah, over the last couple of months, it kept eating me up because I don't like that car being too far away from me. You know, wherever I go, that car needs to come with me. And so, sort of living about 250 miles away, you know, if you know exactly how I feel, you know exactly how hard it was. So, did some more research, and the only thing I didn't try, which I should have tried right at the start, was change the main wiring loom between the engine and the ECU. And so I bought a 40 quid wiring loom second hand, put that on the engine, and believe it or not, it fired straight up. I'm like, oh my fucking, you know, I was over the moon. But I was kind of fuming as well because I spent nearly over £2,000, and that was trade price. So if you're talking retail, you're looking at least £3,000, maybe £4,000 just in parts. So I spent a ton of parts on that car, and it turned out to be 40 quid wiring loom. Of all the things, and it had to be that. Oh my days. So 2013, I got it MOT'd, passed with flying colours, and started using it. And then I used to work for Halford's Auto Centre, which is a scary thought, but I worked my way up. And literally as I was coming home, I was stuck on a dual carriageway, stuck in traffic. I wasn't going anywhere. And the guy behind me, in his, strangely enough, a Citroen C2, fell asleep at the wheel, doing 50, straight into the back of me. I mean, I'm here and he was here. You know, it really did mess the cars right up. My insurance company said that because at the time my foot was on the brake at the time of the crash, I was the only car involved. If I had the handbrake on, I would have gone into 4 or 5 cars in front easily. So lucky enough, I was the only one who got hit. But I suffer a lot of pain from that day. My right ankle's completely shot. I got early stages of arthritis in that whole leg, actually, believe it or not. Yeah, and I'm currently in pain all the time in my lower back. And obviously I can't tell if my trousers is halfway down my legs or not, because how am I meant to feel that sensation if I got so much damage in my back? You know, it sort of drives you nuts. So obviously compensation, my solicitor, she did her best. That's all you can ask, you know, you do your best. We should have got a lot more money than we should, but unfortunately the cards wasn't for me. No doubt, no thanks to some stupid coppers. I know a lot of policemen that do a wonderful job, and you got my thumbs up for that. But this particular day, I had 2 stupid coppers who shouldn't be coppers at all. There should have been people stacking shelves. And the reason why I'm saying that is, when I got out of the car, I called in, I needed an ambulance, I was in so much pain. And when the police came, they turned around and said that because I got out of the car and walked about, regardless if I was in so much pain or not, they cancelled the ambulance. And obviously, what can I do? You know, I explained to them that I was in a lot of pain, and all they said was go home, take a bath, have a couple of paracetamols, and go from there. That's all they told me. So obviously the following, you know, that night when I finally did get home, obviously my wife was fuming. I did tell her that I was in a car crash, but yeah, it kind of upset our plans. But she was fuming. Jesus. But yeah, that's sort of another story for another day, actually. But that night, I was in so much pain, I ended up going to A&E, and I was on a lot more. Near enough, I was on morphine for a while for my damaged back, and was off work for 3 months. And obviously, I put in a complaint to the police station because obviously they, if the ambulance was there, I would have been able to be treated straight away, and yeah, not, I won't be, it wouldn't have messed up the rest of my life. I should have been pain free, not in pain for the rest of my life. So yeah, I put a complaint in. Obviously, they did an investigation, and those two policemen end up getting fired. But what can you do? So C5. Well, it got hit really badly. I mean, really, really badly. The insurance company, I was fully comp. The insurance company took the car away to get it assessed, and it had nearly £5,000 worth of damage done to the car, and it was written off because the car wasn't worth that much. It was roughly around about 2,500, maybe £3,000 is what the car was worth, and because the damage was in excess of 5,000, they writ the car off. Well, yeah, you can imagine what I was like when I heard, no, car's not getting repaired. I was in bits. A car that means so much to you, and yeah, only to find out that I couldn't it wasn't able to get back on the road. So I did a lot of research. I even asked the company who actually surveyed the car. I said, well, look, how much would you think it would cost if it was just trade? I'm in the trade. How much would it cost to get it fixed? And he said that the chassis is slightly bent, but not excessive. And all the parts they quoted were brand new parts. Obviously, if I can get the parts second hand, win-win for me. So, I wasn't planning on selling a car. That car is going to be with me till the day I die. Yeah, So I didn't care if the chassis was slightly bent, as long as it was still able to get from A to B safely. So I've spoken to DVSA regards to, are they happy for me to do this, do that, do this? And they said that's fine, not a problem. So I spent nearly £2,500 buying bits. So it had a new tow bar. The tow bar was completely bent. I mean, the tow bar was, I would say, 2-inch box section, and it was about 4mm thick steel, and that had bent like a banana. And so the first thing I had to do was replace the tow bar. And strangely enough, where the tow bar points were, they were spot on, not a problem at all. The only time when you do see the difference is the door jamb gaps in between the rear doors. The driver's side is absolutely perfect. You go around to the passenger side and the door just catches the other side of the bodywork. So yeah, most of the car got hit quite badly on that side. But you can still open the door. Everything else is still structural. It's still sound. I can live with it being slightly bent. I can live with that. I'm not selling it. And yeah, uh, so all the work was done, and for a while, I had a lot of issues trying to find people who can actually spray, respray. I've done it in the past with two of my cars, and yeah, it's not the same if it's your pride and joy. Um, so yeah, I wanted someone to do a nice job on it. So for a good couple of years, I was driving the car, even though it was green. It had a silver rear bumper and a slightly bluer tailgate, because obviously it bent the tailgate as well. So that used to drive me nuts. It really did. I did not like the back end of the colour, of the car. And somebody said to me last year, this is before the 100-year Citroen event, that, oh, well, why don't you change the front bumper to the same colour as the back bumper? It might ease it off. So I thought, well, I'll give it a try. So I went and bought another bumper, put it on the front, and it was like, I don't know. I'll leave it on, see if it grows on me. And sure enough, it didn't. I hated that. So I ended up putting the original bumper back on. But I didn't do that until after the 100-year event. So yeah, there's not a lot of photos with my car at the 100-year event. Only because, one, I was ashamed of it being multicoloured, and two, I was still drunk for that other night, so there was no way I was going to get in the car and drive. Not when there was a lot of other people's cars around. There was no way I was going to do that. So yeah, so 100-year went, and I decided, no, I'm really going to push it and get find someone to do the rear tailgate and rear bumper for me. And I think it was about 2 weeks before I was actually going to send it down to my friend's house in my friend Simon, who lives over Eastbourne way. Nice top bloke. If you're watching this, mate, I fucking love you to death, man. You're a great saver, you are. Yeah, basically it's one of his mates who was a paint sprayer, and he actually managed to respray the whole back end of my car on the same day. And yeah, I'm still over the moon with that. Looking at the car, I'm much happier. But 2 weeks before, I think it was 2 weeks, or it might be a couple of weeks before the respray, I actually parked the car on top of the hill, went to see another friend of mine, and when I came back, my car had disappeared. I was like, where's my car? And looking around, and sure enough, it rolled down a hill straight into a bollard, which was blocking somebody's driveway. So it damaged the driver's wing and part of the driver's door as well, which I was quite fuming about. But that particular day, it was very hot, and some of you may or may not know that the handbrake is actually fitted to the front brakes, and strangely enough, on that day I left it out of gear, so when the brakes cooled down, the car decided to roll straight down the hill into a bollard. So yeah, so while Simon's mate was respraying my back tailgate and bumper, I also got him to respray a replacement wing, and he done a brilliant job. Can't fault you again, my friend. You did a wonderful job on my car. Yeah, I've got some more work for you coming soon, mate. Anyway, so yeah, what can I say? So yeah, that car has an easy life. Now that I've got the others, there's no point me using it for work. Work is probably about anything from 3 to 5 miles away, And as most people know, diesels, especially that thing out there, doesn't warm up. Not after 3 or 4 miles. It doesn't warm up at all. So using the car for the whole entire week, you start having issues again. So I only use that car for going on to car shows and towing my caravan, or might be towing my C5 caravan once this bloody virus has gone away and I can carry on doing the rest of the work to it. But yeah, I've taken the car off the road. It needs front disc and pads, rear disc and pads, front drop links. The driver's rear suspension cylinder's collapsed on it, so it's leaking hydraulic fluid everywhere. It needs the hydraulic pipes replaced because they're heavily corroded, and because that's the sports edition on the hydros. There's 2 types, there's the standard and there's the sports. Because that car's got the sports facility on it, it has another sphere in the middle, and that is also leaking. So I bought all the bits. Sorry. I bought all the bits. All the bits you can think of, I've got them. And obviously with this lockdown, there's only so much you can do. But I'm a bit reluctant to put the brakes on just yet. Only because if I fit the brakes, there's not going to be a chance that I'm going to be able to get it through the MOT because of this lockdown business. So as soon as we find a date for when this lockdown stops, I can quickly do the brakes and hopefully get it in for the MOT. But yeah, for the minute it's just going to sit out there until this is blown over. Well, I hope I haven't bored you too much, and for those that are asleep, wake up, it's finished! You've got to have a laugh once in a while, haven't you? So I will upload some photos of the car, hopefully along with this, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I just wanted to just share with you that obviously, you know, that green car gets different treatment to my others. I think in total, since having that car, I've probably spent nearly £15,000 on that car. But I know I'm not going to get the money back. And to be honest, I don't care. Whatever that car wants, that car's going to get. I don't care about money. Money means nothing to me as long as I keep my car on the road. Right, like I said, this is the end of this sort of episode. So if you like my comments, videos, whatever you want to call it, please give a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give a thumbs down. Like, I don't care if you get thumbs down. It's your choice. If you don't like the video, it's down to you. Other people might like it, which I'm very thankful for. If you like to subscribe and for further, notifications if I do upload any more videos, please hit the subscribe button and tick the like button for the bell. And hopefully you'll see me soon for another project here on the C5 Nut. You take care, people, and stay safe.